Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 184. Here we are, the 13th of January, 2021. And yes, it still feels like extra innings of 2020 so far, but hopefully we'll start to turn that corner.
Yes, I can't wait.
As we all can't, exactly. Well, that's our friend Patrick Connor from the Northwest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Hello out there, Tesla Life or Tesla Nation, as if I can steal Robert Rosenblum's phrase. We're just hanging out doing our weekly Tesla chat, and I'm glad you could join us as we talk about Tesla and try to bring about a future free from fossil fuels.
The triple F strikes again. Absolutely. That's what we're trying to do for sure. Also joining us, as per usual, Mr. Casey Green from the lockdown city of DC. How are you today, sir?
Doing pretty well. We're locked down for at least the next week. It's been all over the news. They said don't go anywhere, don't do anything. And I've got a brand new Model S Performance Raven sitting in my driveway.
Oh, and he can't go anywhere.
It's in chill mode, so it's like it's the same thing.
So you're in service?
I'm in service. So my car, when it is frozen for hours, like overnight, and literally, 32 Fahrenheit or below, 0 centigrade, the right middle seat will squeak. You can hear it in my Plymouth Supercharger review. It's quite annoying. And hopefully they'll be able to reproduce that and then fix it. I asked them if they would at least lube it up again like the last guy did to make it go away for another 2 years.
Cool.
I'd rather it be repaired.
Yeah.
So you're not the squeaky wheel, you're the squeaky seat.
The squeaky seat. But the beauty of it, the reason it took so long for me to find it again is in South Carolina it doesn't often get below freezing long enough to reproduce the condition. So that's why it took so long for us to get here. So
we'll have to trade cars for a while.
I need you to drive this and take it to the service center and bring it back.
Yeah, you can reproduce it easy.
Yeah,
yes.
You're reproducing it every hour up here. Absolutely.
The new Raven interface is, I mean, you can tell it's the newer version of the same car. It doesn't really feel all that much different than my Model S 90D felt, or other than it being lower to the ground and a little more cave-like. It feels exactly the same as my Model X. And gotta love the neighbors. And so I think a Model 3 or Model Y would have been a more of a shock, like, oh, this is so new, because it's a completely different interface. But I'm glad there was a loaner and they didn't try to shove me in an Uber. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, we got a ton of news. Not a surprise. Tesla keeps rolling on with more and more news. This week, our first story starts in China, the Made in China Model Y, which we talked about last week, about them introducing it. And of course, the web site went down for a little while. They had a plethora of orders. Well, apparently, the 3 months, the next 3 months of production have been sold out. And this is basic. Well, this is a couple of reasons. First of all, the splash that this version is now going to be available, Model Y will be available for the first time in China. That certainly is part of it. The second part of it is of course, the Shanghai plant is just starting to spool up. So they're not going to be running at regular capacity until they, work all the bugs out, figure out what's going on with the new line, make sure things are running smoothly, and that number will, go up as time goes along. But apparently, in the order of 100,000 vehicles have been ordered, and that is going to max out at least their first 3 months of production as Shanghai starts to roll out the Model Y. So again, it's certainly a home run when it comes to obviously a market that's waiting for a Model Y. Definitely China is, and it's probably beyond what Tesla can supply when it just starts spooling up the plant. But over time, of course, those numbers will increase and they will get more capacity, more production out of that plant as time goes along, just like they did with the Model 3. So that's interesting. That this run at Tesla for the Model Y has happened right out of the gate, which is great to see that demand is there immediately.
Yeah, I was also impressed that the performance had sold out to the third quarter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's certainly a bright spot for Tesla as they see that people are willing to order immediately, not having to even test drive the vehicle. Obviously, many of these people have seen it on multiple videos and other media, because it's already been released in North America quite some time ago. But great to see. There's more demand, and Tesla will continue to sell at breakneck speed in China.
So the next question then is, if they can't keep them in stock locally, are they going to be exporting any
Oh, right.
to
Yeah.
Europe and India?
Yeah,
Probably
it's that's a tougher thing to see. I would say that once they get up to speed, I don't think there's going to be a problem.
Oh,
Like,
yes, I meant in the near term with
maybe in the
all of
short
that,
term, maybe
while we wait
in the
for
first year
Patrick to
or
finish sabotaging your factory.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting question. If for them, for the performance version, that might be something that makes sense. If they have to wait a number of months into 2021, if it's going to be maybe 2 quarters, would it make sense to ship some via Fremont? So that's certainly
yeah, that I meant just to get them out of China. If they're all used, why bother sending them out? But
Yeah.
I did speak with a couple of viewers from India, and while it would logistically make sense to just send them from China to India because of shorter distance than any of the other factories, they expressed a certain nationalism about how the consumers would feel about getting a Chinese car. It would be not their first choice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife's
didn't
country is
know.
the same way. They like to get as few goods as they can from China.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
partly political, most likely with China's role in their region. Most
Probably
likely.
so.
Yeah.
The 900-pound
Well,
gorilla.
I would think that since the quality of the cars are the same, if not better,
Right.
I think that attitude might change as time goes along. But
Like anyone but the American one.
yeah, exactly. That might be the
Hey,
case
now.
too. So
Well, I mean, it's that way with the Toyota and Honda. If you have a choice of a car that is made at multiple factories, you generally want the Japanese factory over the others.
well, I would think that we have heard reports about comparing the two, and many people have said that the Chinese version is slightly better, but I don't know. I've got no problems with my car that was made in Fremont,
Same.
but I would have no problem suggesting the Fremont factory based on my experience. So. With that, Patrick's got a story about out of country as well.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
What's
that's
going on
right.
there?
Yeah. So Tesla is shipping cars to Korea, and they are claiming, this is according to driveteslacanada.ca, that Tesla's claiming that there's a violation of the U.S.-Korea Free Trade Agreement. And as you are aware, in a lot of countries, there are incentives for automakers to have lower emission vehicles or to meet emissions targets. And they often do this with credits. And if there's a company that exceeds their emissions targets, that they can then sell those credits on an open market. And so Tesla is shipping EVs to Korea, and so they are, of course, all their vehicles are zero emission. So they are expecting to get some of these credits that they can then sell to others in the country. And, well, they're being told, no, you're not going to receive credits. And the reason that they're not going to receive credits is that there's a clause in this agreement that says that if an automaker sold fewer than 4,500 cars in 2009, then they are exempt from this program. And that year, Tesla only sold 937 Roadsters in 2009. So they are exempt from the program. Well, that exemption cuts both ways. It means they don't have to meet the target, but it also means that if they exceed it, they don't get credits. And so now Tesla and Korea are trying to decide what this is. This really what it was intended for? No, it was intended for low volume car makers to be exempt from it, not from people who are exceeding it and trying to get credits and actually meeting the goals. And so that's what's going on, and I'm sure there will be lots of lawyers and other people involved dealing with the government and treaties and intentions, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Trade name badges with Fiat.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. If they, yeah, you're right. That would be an interesting way to get around this, and that makes exactly Tesla's point here. Of look, if we're meeting the goal, give us the points for it.
Interesting that they picked a date in the past, 2009, as to what the amount of vehicles. I'm not sure when this treaty was first invoked, but sounds kind of coincidental. They picked a year that Tesla was at its lowest volume of all.
Right. It does almost seem like they were like, okay, how can we cut them out? And of course the government says no, it had nothing to do with Tesla. It was for other automakers. Like they gave an example in here. I don't remember. It was like
it was
Chrysler
Cadillac,
or something.
I think.
Cadillac, yeah. Well, and I'm surprised because Cadillac should count as just another GM brand, and all of GM's cars should either be in or out. To say no, this badge is exempted from that just seems ridiculous to me.
Well, I guess it would depend on how they're registered, but I guess the only way they could be more blatant about cutting out Tesla would be if they'd pick 2011 as the year, since there were 0 cars that year.
Or they could say anybody starting with a T and ending with an A.
Oh, that would be quite obvious. And Toyota would be pissed.
Interesting. Yeah, so we'll see. So they've claimed a violation, and now they're going to the Trade Commission to fight this out. So Tesla certainly has seen victories when it's gone after other governments in the past with measures that didn't make any sense. So we'll have to see if they win this one as well.
Right.
My favorite
Tesla's not great to scrap.
The one where you get your car by the download, and the one where they forced them to have CCS in Europe.
Yep.
They don't win them all.
Or here in Ontario, when they said the rebate didn't apply to a Tesla.
Yeah, but you guys were too strong with it, because now the people who got that car can't ever update it.
Well,
I want it to be good for the consumer, not good for the country or good for the company.
Nobody is buying the base model.
Because
the base model allowed them to have the cheaper, allowed them to have the rebate applied to other cars.
Yeah.
So,
but in
other
Germany,
model,
you got to like, all right, I want my heated seats, I want the radio. All right, let's turn all this stuff back on now. But in you guys, it's like, well,
no,
it doesn't have heated seats in Canada.
We're following the rules in the book, Casey. If it's written down, we're following them. That's the way it goes.
I just wanted to be good for the consumer. I don't care about the country or the company.
Along that note, with Model Y, the configurator was updated in North America, and it now shows that a 7-seater is available, which we knew was coming. It was coming at some point. But even more surprising was the standard range was released with a rear-wheel drive motor. So the standard range at 244 miles, I believe, is the amount that it's quoted from the EPA. And you've now got the choice of the standard range with only 5 seats. And then, of course, you can get the regular 2-motor drive vehicle, all-wheel drive, with a 7-seat variable. And of course, performance model is also still available.
Also, you get a heated steering wheel.
The heated steering wheel is arrived. We've not heard anyone that got their hands on the heated steering wheel yet, but we hear it's there. But
So the next question with that is it a rubber wheel, or did they figure out how to make the vegan leather compatible with the
I
heater?
think they figured out about the vegan leather. I would think that that's what they have done. I could be wrong, but
I couldn't tell from the picture I saw.
Because of course in the S and the X they have a heated steering wheel
with cow leather,
and they're cow leather, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't care what it is as long as it was warm.
But if you are a member of PETA and you're getting ready to go up to the annual shareholders conference,
well, that woman would be concerned. Yes, she would, because that's her only question every time she comes. So yeah, that's certainly something that would concern her. But it's good to see that is now there. The other question that's unanswered at this point is, will there be a long-range rear-wheel drive Model Y?
They've got to fill a couple hundred orders of it. I mean, I keep talking to people every day.
They do, but
2 years
I would have
worth of
thought that would have been released first.
I told one of the owners that. I was like, well, wouldn't your car be... I mean, it costs more. But then I thought about it a little bit further, and I said, well, maybe your car is less profitable than the short range because they still have to use the big battery. So maybe the big battery with the front motor has more profit in it than one motor with the big battery. So the standard range made more sense to come out first. That was my thought process.
I'm thinking that the standard range, if they're battery constrained, this uses fewer cells.
That was the other part. It used less batteries for that more profit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you can get more vehicles out.
So they can get more vehicles out the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they're not that battery constrained. But
think about it though. If they're still battery constrained and it makes less money to put one motor in the big battery car, why would you rush to get that car out?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Unless you canceled it and said, "Hey, you guys are good, and we're done."
It's just typically Tesla hasn't followed that model when it came to the 3. They just went down in price, right?
Right.
And then this is slightly different. So, question to the panel is: if would you buy a regular range, a standard range car after now owning long range cars? Would that make any sense to you in your lifestyle? And of course, it's different for everybody. But in your particular situation, would it make any sense?
What's the stated range again?
244. Yeah, so for me...
That's my average range, but I don't think you can charge that one to 100%.
Yeah, when I bought my 90D Model X, it was 257. And now it's...
Mine was 289.
Right, yeah, so now it's a few years older, so it's about this 244. So this is effectively what I'm driving with. And I haven't had any problems with it. I've been able to do the round trip to San Diego and back a few times, and to the coast and back. And so I think 244 is plenty. Although I'm at a point now where I would just buy the extra range.
Yeah,
it's more. You never regret having more range. If you can afford it, I'd get the longer range every time.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, because they didn't say that these are the iron phosphate batteries from China, so you can't charge it 100% every day. And I'm looking at mine, and right now it's showing me anywhere from 286 to 262 at 100%. And it's calculated I've lost 23 miles, and I never actually did get the 289, so let's call it 287 minus 23.73. I'm at 263 at a full charge today, if you call it in the middle like that. So
yeah.
The nice thing about a larger pack is that everything's less wear and tear on it, because there's more cells there, or more capacity there to spread every load out over. So if you want to supercharge, then it's going to stay at the higher rate longer. If you want to slam on the lightning pedal, as Casey calls it, and take off safely at the track, let's say, that's less wear and tear on the pack, and so it's going to, in general, have a longer lifespan. And if it does have some degradation, it'll still meet your needs. And so, yeah, I would go for the big pack.
Makes sense. I've heard when I first put in my order for the Model 3, I asked a couple of Tesla owners who owned S's what they would do, and both of them had said to me, "You buy as much battery as you can afford,"
Absolutely.
and as Patrick said, you'll never regret that. So
Absolutely.
that's good advice for people to have, I would say. Buy what you can afford, buy the biggest battery you can with the amount you can afford.
And while they make what you want, because
Wow.
that car I rode in today didn't have the ventilated seats, and they went back to a fixed headrest, and so like it's fixed like my old Model S was, but it's got a little bit extra push to the back of the head than my old one did. So it's like there's just a little bit of pressure that I was noticing that on the older new S's and on my car with the movable headrest, that's just not there.
That does remind me as well that the standard Model Y, it has everything inside that
Premium.
the long range does. I'm sorry, the all-wheel drive or all the premium features. You know, the stereo, everything is at the top. It's not dulled down like
Like a
the
standard
standard
range
range
Model
plus
3.
was and standard Model 3 was. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind as well. You're getting a full suite of premium interior options that come even with the standard range car.
I think that was the right move because now they only have to worry about one type of car coming down the line, and the customers they don't have to worry about that company that's allowing you to unlock your car with unauthorized hardware and software.
Yep.
Yeah, consumer first.
So if you had the choice between buying, so you've got a fixed budget, and your options are to either get autopilot or get the additional range. Which would you pick?
Depends on how much that autopilot subscription is going to be.
Yeah. At this point, I'd probably still get the extra range.
Yeah, I think I would too. And then because you can add autopilot later, you can't add more range later unless you trade it in.
Unless you trade it in or you deal with some third-party stuff that they might not care for. What I'm hoping that we see is as these Model S 2012s come off of warranty, that they have a core return program, they let you upgrade for a reasonable rate, then that would be something I'd be interested in doing for sure. But until they have that something consistent, I mean, because you can go to any of the service centers as long as your technician, service writer, and service manager are cool, they'll probably do it for a substantial cost. But until it's an official repair, it's rolling dice to see if you can get that done. But autopilot, you can add that later. More range right now is not a given.
Exactly. Yeah, autopilot's going to have all kinds of, like you said, a lease option coming, and if the price is going to go up, you'll get plenty of notice, so you'll still be able to buy it for the price it is now.
Plenty might only be a week.
yeah. So you'd have to hurry, but you could buy the long range with the budget you have now, and then start saving your pennies to get the autopilot stuff later. That's what I would do.
It's what I was thinking about my Model S is you can add software, but you can't add hardware on a guarantee.
That's right. Well, next, a couple nuggets have come in of information about the 25K ModelNext, as Patrick likes to call it.
It's better than the people calling it Model 2. That's
well, it's all over the board because they haven't given us a name, and
well,
I understand
said it won't be called Model anything, so ModelNext is better.
it's something that we await to hear, but the bits of information we received is that they were looking for some additional engineers at Tesla Shanghai. And also in a Chinese report, it indicated that the car release date could be as early as 2022, which sounds really early, but it was basically, I guess it was 2023 or 2024 on Battery Day. So that could be a couple years pushed up according to this Chinese report. And what I can say is that obviously I don't know if this would be true or not. Nobody knows except if you're on the inside. But I do have to say that Shanghai moves awful quickly. So I wouldn't discount that this is not possible. I would say that it is possible. It's and certainly we would love to see it. But whether it's true or not, I don't know. But if you're out there saving for that that ModelNext, you might keep this in mind if you're waiting for this vehicle, as I know many are. But there's supposed to be one made in China, supposed to be one made in Germany, and I'm not sure which one or both could come to North America or not. But there's a lot of balls in the air here. But this little bit of information indicates that China could be stepping up their program, speeding it up a little bit. So keep that in mind.
So I would speculate that if this timeline is accurate, and they're trying to hit the beginning of 2022, that by this summer we'll see mules running around, and maybe by the fall we'll get a party. If they're going to hit the end of 2022, then we'll see the mules running around wintertime so after holiday season this year, and then the party will be in the spring.
I'm pretty skeptical. It could be out as early as next week. Okay, that's never going to happen. But if you say could be, you can put whatever you want after that. And Tesla's got to get the Roadster, the Semi, the Cybertruck out, and hopefully even the Quad. But they're still hiring for design positions at this to help even sketch this on paper. So I don't know. Well, I totally agree with you, Mark, that Shanghai moves fast, and if anybody could do it, it's them. But I'm thinking 2025 at the earliest, so don't hold your breath for it. And like you said, who knows if it'll even come to your region unless you're actually in Berlin or Germany or China. This more affordable vehicle might not even be available in your region. 2025 or whenever is my guess.
Maybe that's when they hit the volume car for India. But I would say that it's probably further along than sketches. I mean, because design includes not just the styling, but now they have to integrate packages and get an idea for what they want to request of their engineering partners for the suppliers, as well as figure out what they're going to build themselves. So
you're right.
It's a possibility, but
I was exaggerating to make a point, but yeah.
It's a possibility for them to do it next year, but I'm not counting on it. I would say not necessarily 2025. If they truly have Cybertrucks and Roadsters run around in customers' hands this year, then I could see them hitting the early end of the spectrum. But I'd say probably 2024 is when we start seeing spy shots and stuff.
Yeah.
Until we get more data.
Down a date. I'm going to say 2023.
All right, we've got. Oh man, I'm the most pessimistic one again.
Another prediction. Yes, indeed.
And I'm not talking spy shots. We're talking delivered to customers who are not employees.
Yep.
That's the criteria. All right.
I would count those little 6-car parties. As long as they paid for it.
As long as they're not employees. Yeah.
Well, I would count the employees as long as they paid for it.
Investors count, just not employees.
The Model 3.
Well, hey, I have the most pessimistic date, so for mine, I'm saying none of those count. You guys can measure however you want.
All right, so one of you two needs to keep the whiteboard of all of our wagers.
I'm going to get a spreadsheet together. Start marking this stuff down. Definitely.
Yes.
I'm going to do that tonight.
Okay.
All right. Next story. Tom Cruise apparently is heading to space on Crew Dragon in 2021, according to NASA. So we heard this before that Tom and a couple others are going to be making a movie on ISS or filming scenes for a new movie on ISS. And he apparently is...
Sorry, Mark. I don't want to interrupt, but would that make it the Cruise Dragon?
That joke.
Apparently so.
Trying to give you a show title.
So Tom and 2 others will be going to the station and doing some filming. There will also be a 4th, which will be the pilot. You know, it's automated, but there is a pilot on board, and he will be at the controls, ready to take over if he needed to. But this earlier date than possibly expected was announced by NASA just last week.
Well, we know one thing about this movie. They're going to follow COVID protocols.
They are. That's right.
Yeah, above and beyond, actually. They'll probably be in isolation for some time before they go up. Oh, they'll
Oh,
have their
it
shots
was
by then. All of that stuff will
a
be.
current events joke. He allegedly berated some crew members for not following COVID protocol.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody recorded it, and the audio was released with him ranting and yelling.
Yes.
And I kind of understand it. I mean, it's deadly serious, and if the whole production gets shut down, a whole lot of people would lose their job. And anyway, we don't need to go off about
allegedly
that.
for two reasons. One is if it really is him on the tape, then it could be taken out of context. And two, if it's not him, well, then it obviously wasn't him. So, allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, we won't go there. But that leads us to our next story. Casey's got some information again about the Model Y.
Yes. So, I was one of the people who was saying that the Model Y seats, the 6th and 7th seats, would look like my Model X, and they'd be mini, and I don't know where the headrest would go because they'd be tiny, and that the people in the back would have to be of small stature to fit. And then Mark found these pictures, and
I'll start sharing.
I was hoping to get some thoughts from some of the folks who were sure 100% it was going to be rearward facing. Not as a gloat, just because I agree that rearward facing probably would have been something that gave you more headroom and more legroom. I just didn't see Tesla switching back to rear seats before all of the news came out about the Model S Plaid having larger seats. In fact, I think that what we'll see for the Plaid is we'll see these seats flipped over to the back because he said they'd be bigger and they'd fit bigger people, and by definition that would be this.
Yeah. So again, they released a video of this. They showed the second row being able to be moved up so that people get a better access to go into the back row, the third row. But what they never showed was someone going in and sitting down in the third row. And everybody says these are child seats. Really.
Oh, yes.
When it comes right down to it, this is not for an adult to go back, let alone two, to sit in these back seats. But a plus that we heard was that each seat does have the ability to have a USB-C port as well. Yep. So charging abilities are back in the third row as well. So $3,000 option on the configurator in North America, and that's US dollars. And I don't know. Does it make sense? It depends on the family situation that you have. Do you have a couple of young kids? Do you have one young kid that you need an extra seat, and maybe a couple of teens that could sit in the middle? It depends on what you have. But it's not going to be comfortable for an adult. Yeah, in a pinch, someone could get back there and travel a distance, but you don't want to make a long distance, I would imagine. But it is something for some people. I can't see ever using it in that way, but I don't have a large family. I was
surprised at the implementation of the easy entry. On Patrick's car, you've got a quick easy button. It'll move the seat forward at a pace. It'll tip it up a little bit, and you can hop right in. On my car, it's electromanual. You hit a button on the shoulder, the seat pops over with a solenoid, and then the solenoid releases and it springs forward. But on the Model Y, it appears to be all manual other than opening solenoids. The seat slides and tips up, like it comes off the rails. Like in my car, they discourage you from using it while it's in the forward position, but on the Model Y, it looks like they make it impossible to use it while it's in the forward position. And then just like my car, when you lay it back down and click it in place, it comes back at a space to give people the minimal legroom in that rear seat when it's deployed. So even though it was fully manual, I was surprised to see that they made that work, and I was impressed to see that it's the exact same ratio as my seat. If you just leave it the way it goes, they better be some small people. If there's any slightly taller people, you have to manually move it forward further to give them enough legroom to.
Yeah, and of course, any leg room that you get for the third row is going to be taken away from the second row.
Yeah, I think that's why they push it back as far as they do.
You're sliding the second row forward limiting their leg room to give more to the third row. So it's an interesting thing. We'll have to see if it's an option that's well used. I'm certainly looking to see one in the wild to see what it looks like in person. But as you can see from this photo, there is virtually very, very little leg room in this photo.
Yeah, I think you called it, Mark, that there are some people this is going to work great for, but it's a niche for people that even need the third row, or and if they do need the third row, it has to be for children, or booster seats, or that kind of stuff. And I have a 6-seater Model X, and even that is not huge in the back. And but it works great, like a birthday party or the soccer team or whatever. You throw a few extra kids in the back, but yeah, it's not great for adults.
Yeah. When I saw these, my doubts about whether or not the Model X would continue kind of melted away. If they do away with Model X, it won't be before Cybertruck comes out, because that's not going to fit big people in the back. And something I learned while I was working at Honda is that. During training, I don't remember what year it was, but they wanted you to force the people to deploy the headrests in the rearmost seats. And this is another example of that, because if you have any sort of height to you, you're going to need to deploy those headrests, because the seat itself is really short.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're in a crash, you want that headrest, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's why they... I don't know if it's a law or regulation or just a really strong suggestion to the manufacturers that they make it so the rearmost row has headrests that are either permanently deployed or are downright uncomfortable to the point where the users will deploy them on their own.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, off to another part of Tesla, the Tesla life. That, of course, is SpaceX. So Casey's got a story about what SpaceX is doing in Texas.
Yes. So Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut, was noticing in his observations of SpaceX that they had what appeared to be what did he call it? He called it a tiki bar. Elon corrected him and said, no, that's actually our restaurant. And at some point after the COVID protocol is over, they will open it up to the public. And while he was on that thread, they announced a sky bar on top of the high bay. It's going to have a glass floor, and he suggested you'll be able to parachute down to it. I don't know if that was him joking around. Yes. And then he said, obviously, you'll also be able to use an elevator. But I'm curious if any skydivers will take him up on that.
So where's this glass floor restaurant going to be located?
Right on top of the rocket factory.
On top, so you're talking about one of those those large buildings that they're doing the assembly of the Starship in.
Yeah, the same one we saw, was it 2 weeks ago, where serial number 9 kind of leaned over against the wall?
Side. Okay,
yes.
All right.
So this will be in the Austin, Texas area?
It will be in Boca Chica.
Oh, Boca Chica. Okay, yes. Cool.
So right at the SpaceX launch facility.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. Go to Boca Chica and have a drink in the high bar. That sounds like we should do a show from there.
Just not during launch, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely not during launch. And definitely anywhere near launch day, you're not going to be skydiving in. I'm curious if they'll use armor glass for the floor or something else.
Oh, Tesla glass.
Yeah.
It'll be Tesla semi glass.
Oh, I mean, the current rockets right now, they just slap a pair of Model S and X batteries up there.
Yeah, they're just grabbing parts from everywhere. Yeah.
Just don't let Franz come visit while we're there. Breaking those steel balls.
No extra
It didn't go through.
No extra large ball bearings will be allowed in the facility.
They have a metal detector, and it's like, oh, are you checking for weapons? Nope.
Steel ball bearings. Well, the question though is armor glass on the semi, is that any different than the glass on the Cybertruck? Because on the semi truck, when they were showing us, they put a I don't know if it was a single ball or triple ball tow hitch, and they hit it into glass and not even a scratch.
And that apparently that is designed specifically for semi trucks.
Okay.
They
So then
need
it's not the same.
because they're extra large windows,
That's true.
and they need the extra thickness and support because windows in trucks typically break a lot more often, and of course that takes the truck off the road. They want these trucks to remain running at all times for profitability. So that is a special feature for the Semi.
So I wonder then if they're using the same formula, but it's just a thinner side.
Probably yeah. I can't imagine that they went off and did something completely different unless the economics didn't make sense.
Right. Keep prawns away from the Semi, true.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Patrick's got our next story about SNX.
That is right. So there were once rumors that the X was not long for this world and it was going to be shut down. And I said, no, you can't do that. And in fact, the SNX volume have been slowly declining, and I will blame them for not hitting my my target production number. It was the SNX's fault because they did not make a whole ton of those in 2020.
No.
So as you guys have heard, the line shut down for a couple weeks at the end of 2020, and now it is back online. It's been back online for 2 days. And the world is desperate to see what's coming off the line for these vehicles now that they're up and producing again. And speculation is running rampant. We have a lot of it here on Teslarati from Simon Alvarez. And we've got hints at a lot of different things. Green the Only has found code for the selfie camera. And it looks like that the cabin-facing camera could be coming to the SNX, at least based on those hints. We've seen pictures of a Model S that has a wider body, and there's also been the screen from the Cybertruck, and wondering if that same sort of horizontal display is going to come to the SNX. So there's all kinds of is it going to be wide body? Is it going to have the new screen? Lots and lots of questions, and unfortunately, right now, I don't have any answers. When I saw this article, I jumped on it thinking, "Oh, this is going to have the answers," and no, it just has the questions. But with competitors like Lucid and others, Tesla cannot and will not stop innovating on their vehicles, and this is a chance to do a big refresh. And I'm sure they took advantage of it, at least to some extent. The question is, which ones?
The selfie cam is a foregone conclusion because Model 3 and Model Y still have it. The Semi has it, as well as an additional right-facing camera. And the Cybertruck screen is an interesting theory because it is a 17-inch screen, and that's what's currently in the SNX is 17-inch screen, but portrait.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that they changed much on the exterior. Definitely not something we'd be able to see as they roll out of the factory, except for obviously going blackout on the chrome.
Mm-hmm.
The alleged wide body, I think, is going to be the plaid. I don't know that.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. Would it just apply to the plaid Model S, or would it just be the new Model S? And if you can buy, performance versions.
I would think economically it would make more sense just to have a single body, and
or
whether or not you get the tri-motor or not is, internal components that would be added to the car. But
yes,
it's I was really hoping that the guy with the Austin drone would have flown inside Fremont by now, but apparently he has not gotten permission or not gone at the right time of day yet. But we will have to see. Certainly, many people are watching the exit ramps of Fremont to see a new S, to see if there are any noticeable differences.
So next week we should be able to tell you for sure.
For sure.
I hope.
I would suspect that of the outlandish ideas that we saw, aside from new sheet metal, maybe that they've got the Model S plaid ready to go early. But I think this was probably just a regular shutdown, and I'm thinking what it would take to actually change sheet metal is a little bit more intense than the amount of time.
More than 18 days.
Right. The last time when they added the X, they shut down a lot longer than 18 days.
Yeah.
Good point.
Well,
We might be getting
we shall
excited
see.
for nothing.
We shall
Well,
see.
they probably are. It's only half a fire at best.
Next story. Speaking of equipment, at Giga Berlin, it has been spotted that more and more equipment is being moved into the shell of the factory, and recently was spotted different pieces of the Giga Press was being transported by truck and being loaded into the building at different points. So I just say that because Patrick and I have a bet going on about what factory is going to be up and running first. I'm thinking
right.
Berlin's looking
Yep.
darn good at this point, but who
Go
knows?
Team
Gigafactory
Austin.
Texas is certainly on a 24-hour clock now, so we continue to watch that. But I thought I'd throw that story in just to kind of needle Patrick a little bit.
Patrick, when you
Yeah,
redirect
every
that
week we have
manifest,
to
you're
have a
supposed to
little,
not do it twice. Just do it one time.
Also in Berlin, over the past last Sunday, I believe it was, a Tesla showroom apparently was attacked. And by attacked, I mean damaged. Windows, the door, and one of the cars were damaged in an attack by a few people. The police are investigating at this point. I'm not sure if an arrest or arrests have been made at this point, but apparently this happened last Sunday, and no one's really sure as to the reason for it. It's not like there was any picketing or anything going on. We're not sure as to why it happened or if it was just a random vandalism act. But certainly the police are out looking for the culprits. Hopefully, some of the Tesla cam or security cam picked some of this action up, and will be able to aid the police in their search.
They should have any car that they own should be
well, that's
constantly streaming to the server.
Patrick, you had something there?
Oh, I was going to say, so this is what I get for hiring amateurs. I told them to go attack the Berlin factory, and they went to the wrong place. This is what I get for using Fiverr to hire. I wanted to make sure I win this bet.
Oh, no.
Damn.
You don't admit that on a podcast, Patrick. That's not the way to do it.
Oh.
Well, we're going to leave that one and go to our next story. We're going to pour any more gasoline on that fire. But the next story is that an analyst was looking at Tesla's advancement in autonomous driving, and they were indicating that they believe one of the key factors in Tesla being able to jump ahead so far in front of other competitors for autonomous driving was Tesla using an Apple trick. Apple, the computer corporation or the iPhone corporation. And what you may ask is, what trick has Tesla used that Apple employed in the past? Well, of course, that is being able to design and build your own hardware. So Apple did it with their iPhone, their iPod starting with, where they would start to build their own chips, their own circuit boards, because they could build something specifically for the application they wanted to use it for. They would have the ability to put whatever power they needed, or whatever assets that system needed to use, or what the power draw would be. All that stuff is within your domain if you're making your own product, as opposed to buying it off a shelf or having someone make it for you. It allows you to be a lot more nimble and build what you really need, because you're designing the software and the hardware. Therefore, you're getting the best of both worlds, and that makes a lot of sense.
I would say that they've been doing this for a while. It's just that they now have, this is probably their most complex, largest chip that they've done ever since they dropped NVIDIA.
Well, yeah, obviously when they were using Mobileye, there did come a point where they couldn't get what they wanted. It was either they couldn't produce what they wanted. Maybe the price was different. Maybe the financials weren't working out. As they saw themselves scaling up and adding the Model 3, they knew that they were going to have to do something. So they bit the bullet a long time ago and said, you know what, we got to develop our own.
And then there was the allegations that Mobileye wanted a copy of everybody's data. So that
which would be a stipulation that they wouldn't want to share, because they knew that data would be valuable for others to build a platform upon.
Yeah.
So makes sense, and certainly that has been, I guess, Tesla's difference with most of the auto industry is they will take things in-house, design or operate them themselves, as opposed to hiring a third party to deliver, or another supplier to deliver something to them. When they feel it makes sense for them, such as the seats, they went ahead and built their own seat factory. So there are a number of instances that Tesla says, this makes sense for us now, we can do it best ourselves, therefore we'll move forward with it. And this is just another example.
Yeah, it is. And I have a few comments. So first, I want to say that I'm an ARK investor. I've had their funds for a couple of years now, and Kathy Wood really was the one out there who had the message right about Tesla and what their future was going to be, and was laughed at until recently when the stock went crazy, and now she has the best performing funds of any active portfolio investor. And so who's laughing now, right? And then, Casey, you made a good point of this is not a new move. It's not like Tesla took a page out of Apple's book. Vertical integration has been what they've been about from the beginning. Whenever they could, whenever they had a problem, they were, okay, let's hire someone to fix it, not let's outsource it to some supplier. And because then you become dependent on that supplier. That supplier has 20 customers, you're one of them. They do something that kind of solves your problem and sort of also works for the other guys. That's never been how Tesla rolls. So I agree with the sentiment of this comment, because that's easy for other people to understand, because they know that Apple made their own chips. But it's not just this is what they did this time. It's really a fundamental part of Tesla's culture.
Yeah, and they did originally want to do the buy it all off the shelf, but they learned this lesson over and over the hard way with the model, the original Roadster, and they vowed that they're not going to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not going to be caught again. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, with that, Patrick's got our last story of the evening. What would that be, Patrick?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
It's kind of
okay?
muffled.
Your
Yeah,
connection's getting a little low.
Okay.
Yeah. But go ahead
Yeah.
with your final story.
You guys sound pretty muffled to me as well. Okay, so this is from grist.org, and it is titled, U.S. Cities Consider Treating Fossil Fuels Like Nuclear Weapons. And that got my attention. I'm like, what are they talking about? So this is a great article. I'm not going to go through all of it for you, but there's a couple interesting points here. They talk about how nuclear proliferation was a serious problem and brought our planet to the brink of destruction, and how these nuclear treaties have scaled that back, and we now have 1/5 the number of nukes that we used to have. So how well this has worked. And so applying that to fossil fuels, they said that they want to establish a treaty to phase out fossil fuels, which of course that got my attention. So phase out fossil fuels for a future free from fossil fuels. You can add phase out as an F word, even though it's a PH word.
It's got the
The
F sound.
treaty has three key things to it. First, non-proliferation, where countries end their expansion of exploration for fossil fuel production. So that's step one. And then two is the global disarmament, where they phase out their existing fossil fuel stockpiles, such as decommissioning old fossil fuel infrastructure, importantly, removing subsidies. So if you have a plan to phase out subsidies, then these are some of the most profitable businesses in the world, and yet their entire life existence, they've been given government dollars to pay for failed exploration and tax breaks and land grants, and it's trillions of dollars. So we could spend that all in much better ways toward preparing for our future versus keeping the past going that we know is causing pollution problems. And then the third arm of this is a peaceful and just transition to renewable and low carbon energy. And that's exactly where we want to go, to have clean air and clean water and an atmosphere that doesn't cause massive storms, tornadoes, droughts, floods. This is exactly what we need to do. So at first I saw this idea and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But again, it's an analogy to help show people there is a path. Other things have been on this path to success, and big problems have been solved. Let's try to use what worked there here in ways that make sense. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can I do one more thing?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to share here. So I find where they move the share button to. So Tony Pham of the Bandit license plate holder, he was delivered a Model Y with a Megacast. So here you can see his car on the left, Tesla Roddy, and on the right you can see Sandy Monroe's car. So they're moving fast. And
so at Fremont, the Megacast is now rolling out Model Ys.
Absolutely. Because that's the only factory making Model Ys at the moment that could have been delivered in the U.S. So
fantastic, fantastic. Well, with that, let's wrap it up. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the show. Subscribe if you haven't already. That certainly helps out, both of those things. And if you want to support the show, that's the best way you can do it for us. So please do that. Also, we want to thank Lee Move for the music we use every week at show start and show end. And with that, Patrick, any shout outs for the evening?
Sure. I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I write occasionally at carswithcords.net. Check it out.
Fantastic. We will do that. Casey, shout outs from you.
Yes, I've got a couple of new videos up for you guys. We got a deep dive into 2020.48.30. And then a couple of others. I was a little slower on it this week. Things happened, and I was also setting up channel memberships, and that took more time than I anticipated. And rumor is this week that we're going to get another update, probably Holiday Update Part 2. And then allegedly on Thursday, I doubt it, that we'll see a wider rollout of FSD Beta. I don't doubt that they might expand the program, but I doubt that the way that it was implied that all of us people who've paid for it will be seeing it. That's unlikely.
We will definitely be watching for that. Well, with that, we want to thank you all for watching, and why don't you join us next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life. There's the music fading in. Very good. Have a great week, everyone.